Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Welcome aboard E2247 from all over the place. Of course, we have Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. We're also in the house. We've got Bridge MCP, says Ola Peef. She's from Binghamton, New York. We have Maywood from Long Beach, California. And of course, AVQ from beautiful Brooklyn, New York. Lee Grand is in the house from Montgomery County. And Eric Hayes in the house from Kingwood, Texas. Atascocita, Texas. How's everybody doing? Well, we'll start today with Israel. Al Jazeera documentary, The Night Won't End, investigates civilian deaths in Gaza and the U.S. complicity. Amy Goodman, runtime 30 minutes, and there is a YouTube channel to get it. Day 259, 6 October 7, 2023. At least 37,431 Palestinians killed. That's 59 people more than day 256. At least 85,452 wounded. 201 persons more than day 256. Total 122,883 casualties. 122,883 casualties equal 474 per day of estimated 5.385 million West Bank and Gaza Palestinian population. That's 37,431 Palestinians killed. It's the same as 145 per day killed, 38%, or kids and children and women. All right. We also have, if that were the U.S. population, that would be equivalent to 7,681,564 people. That's what I called a massacre. That's what I call genocide. I don't think how anybody can argue with that. You can't argue with just dead people around trying to get. I gave an example in a TikTok that I did a few weeks ago where I said, if we had 10 terrorists run into a mall, and those 10 terrorists pretty much put 10,000 people in front of them, are we going to tell, if that police chief told the cops to open fire, even if they have to bowl through those innocent civilians, if they have to do that, do you think that police chief would have his job? Don't you think that police chief would be charged with manslaughter? I want you guys to be real here. What's going to happen is that guy would be jailed. That guy would be thrown the book. So why do we think it's okay for Netanyahu to go out there and kill and maim and destroy the infrastructure of an entire open house jail, an entire open air jail, to just blow it up? And why are we complicit? You know, I start here because I think, you can't have fractional morality. You can't have temporary morality, right? I'm from Panama, folks, originally Central America. And I can never forget getting a call from a Jamaican buddy when Bush #1 invaded Panama because they wanted to get Manuel Antonio Noriega. And he called me. He was pissed at me. Why aren't you in the streets? Why are you allowing Bush to do that to the Panamanians? Why are you allowing him to kill, blow up thousands of Panamanians to get a guy that was once their friend? And I said, there's nothing I can do other than what I'm doing here, political activism, to try to bring some morality to the immoral. To try to bring some morality to the immoral. Several thousand Panamanians died. So who are we morally to tell Netanyahu to stop killing several tens of thousands of Palestinians? It has to be we, the people, not the American government, but we, the people, have to stop the American government from doing the immoral thing, something that they never have a problem doing. And remember, government is us. So we can actually stop them from effecting the killing. We can actually stop them to be an investor in the killings. All right. Welcome aboard. Let's see who else came into the house during my little minor rant. I don't see anybody else. So let's go ahead and start reading what folks are saying. We have Eric Hayes says, how can this happen? Let criminals give the criminals idea they can use to victimize. Fury as woke Panamanian DA Alvin drops charges against dozens of anti-Israel protesters who stormed Columbia University. Why should they be charged? Did they effect damage on anything? Did they or did they just protest? It's legal to protest in this country. You know, it is legal. I would have been thrown in jail back in 1983 as I protested the liberation, or rather the removal of the investment of the PUC in the Permanent University Fund, the PUF, I don't remember. I think it was called PUC or PUF. When we marched to tell them divest from South Africa, an apartheid state. It's the same thing we should be saying about Israel, which is itself an apartheid state, but even worse, a genocidal machine headed by Netanyahu. I'm not talking about my Jewish brothers and sisters. Love my Jewish brothers and sisters. Love my Israeli brothers and sisters. What Netanyahu is doing in their name, however, is a genocide. Let's not forget that. I repeat, it's a genocide. And all of us should be singing that song until it stops. Okay, let's continue. Para ver. I'm scrolling down. Due to Israel's genocide, Gregory Meeks, New York 5 Financial Service Committee, and Ben Cardin stopped it. Biden beat them down. It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing I have to vote. I got an email that I haven't answered yet from a good friend. He said, I just can't understand why you're going to vote for Donald Trump. I just don't get it. Why will you do it? Why are you going to vote for Biden, not Donald Trump, Biden? And I said to him, I'm going to vote for him because of policy that will never be able to be attained under Donald Trump. But after getting him elected, and during the point of getting him elected, we'll be working like hell to ensure that he doesn't continue the support of Israel's genocide against the Palestinians in Gaza, and to continue the territorial encroachment, the territorial stealing, or however you want to take it, in the West Bank. It's just wrong. Okay? All right, continuing. Let's see. Paul Fleming says, billionaire Harlan Crow has spent $13 million on federal politics since the 2010 Citizens United. That's on top of the years he spent secretly doling out free vacations to Clarence Thomas. Money in politics, the root of our dysfunction. And you know what? It's so hurtful. Today, a ruling came out that allowed them to stop a wife abuser, a wife killer, a wife beater from having a gun. And the only person that supported giving that guy a gun is Clarence Thomas. Justice Clarence Thomas. How evil can that be? Doesn't he have a wife? How evil can it be that you are going to actively support giving a gun to somebody who's already shown a propensity to use that gun illegally and hurt and harm and maim people? How can you do that? Amazing. Amazing. Clarence Thomas needs to be impeached. Clarence Thomas need to be impeached. And women out there, women who know that there are those who wish you ill will, from Clarence Thomas right down to other gun owners, it is time for you to act and vote appropriately. All right, let's see. What have we got here? What have we got here? Paul Fleming says there is no commandment that Trump hasn't violated. It's amazing, isn't it? Michael Rudden says, Newsweek, Alvin Bragg's legal move raises Republican eyebrows. Stephen Milan, a prosecutor working in Bragg's office, told a New York court on Thursday that charges against 32 of the protesters, including 30 students and 2 Columbia staffers, would be dropped due to lack of evidence in identifying the suspects. The only people aren't being charged are students who had no direct evidence of committing any vandalism or violence of any kind. So why should they be charged if they were protesting and didn't commit any act? There's no evidence of them breaking into a building or anything like that. Why should they be prosecuted? Thank you, Alvin Bragg, for having the pelotas to do what is right. Paul Fleming also said, did you know that despite the fact that black and brown individuals are more likely to live in poverty, it is actually white Americans who make up the largest portion of low-income individuals benefiting from government safety net programs? Remember this the next time you hear a white person accuse black people of being lazy and mooching off the welfare system. Look, I don't know. That's not new. Look, Paul, thank you for bringing that up, but that's not news at all. The only reason welfare programs remain is that most of the people who benefit from welfare people aren't people of color. Whenever there is a majority of people of any particular group that way that depends on something, it is yanked. The only reason it isn't yanked is because, again, our prejudiced systemic issues don't prevent that to happen. So yeah, that's a statement of fact, and I've written about that in not only How to Make America Utopia, but also As I See It. And also, I think I've mentioned all of this in all 3 of my political books. As I See It, Class Warfare. Let me put those on the screen. As I See It, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. Look, that's why the work of Reverend Barber is so important, because he's doing something we speak about all of the time. He's uniting Appalachia, where a large percentage of poor white people on stipends from the government are, black people in the ghettos and barrios, and our other people of color that scattered around. He's bringing all these people together to say our common enemy isn't what we are or look like. Our common enemy is a systemic nature of the evil within this economic system that needs to be mitigated. That's why Reverend Barber's new book, I'm going to try to get Reverend Barber on. I called him earlier this morning because I saw him on a channel here, and I'm like, hey, you guys didn't answer my email, but I'm going to try to get him on again, because his new book on poverty and uniting people is so very important. How arrogant America tells a country how they should run their business? Well, if you're taking our money, if these countries are taking our money for bombs, we should have the right to say, well, if you're buying our bombs that we are giving you the money to buy, you can't use it to kill people. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, it's the ethical thing to do. So you're wrong on that, Brother Hayes. Completely wrong. All right, let's see what else we got here. Scrolling down, we have Maywood. Oh, when Maywood repeated that piece. Carl Cox says, Trump is worse than Biden, and that is saying a lot. Trump, like Putin, Kim, and Xi, just to name a few, are despots. They care only about themselves and thrive on the blood of others. Very true. Paul Fleming says, if Justice Clarence Thomas is so in love with the conditions in this country in the 18th century, I invite him to step into a time machine and go back there. I don't think he'd like his conditions. He would, in fact, be a slave with neither rights or citizenship. Even looking at Ginny, who would be her father's property, would get him lynched, and per his own prior decisions, there would never be a constitutional provision granting freedmen any rights white men need respect. Godspeed and please go. I would love to put him in a time machine. Hell, I would put him in a present machine and send him to Vidor, Texas, and ask him to go to Vidor, Texas at night and go walk a highway in Vidor, Texas at midnight. He's a darn, you know what the word is, but I won't use it to change the tenor of our program. Let's see how Mehdi and Bassam cope with what's happening in Gaza. Okay, I'll check that out. All right, Brice has a long one here. She says, Egberto, sorry if long. Please read if you can. Of course I can. This is y'all's show. You guys bring information to us. So whether you're on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, or wherever, if you have stuff you want to get to the greater population, bring it here. And we'll talk about it here and release it in our podcast. So here we go. People fed by the media get it wrong when they believe that federal judges have an allegiance to the people who appointed them. They don't give two SHITS. They have lifetime appointments. The list is long of Trump-appointed judges who have ruled against Trump. Very long, including his SCOTUS peeps. And if they're looking to move up their fealty to Trump means nothing. Their allegiance to conservative principle is all that matters to Leonard Leo and the Federalist Society. That's who's been choosing our federal judges for the Republicans. If Americans had heard of Leo at all, it was for his role in building the conservative supermajority on the Supreme Court. He drew up the list of potential justices that Donald Trump released during the 2016 campaign. He advised Trump on the nominations of Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett. Before that, he'd helped pick or confirm the court's three other conservative justices, Clarence Thomas, John Roberts, and Samuel Alito. But the guests who gathered that night under a tent in Leo's backyard included key players in a less understood effort, one aimed at transforming the entire judiciary. From ProPublica. Thank you so kindly for that breach, and thank you for kindly for including that link. Michael Radin says, Paul, taking a look at the 10 Commandments, Trump has violated 6 or 7 of them, not quite all of them, but still. Well, if you're going to make a statement like that, my dear brother, Michael Radin, which one did he violate? Patrick says, January 6 protesters who never went into the Capitol were prosecuted. Okay. Why? They didn't have to go into the Capitol. They had to commit a prosecutable offense, like beating a cop, spraying a cop, damaging property on the outside. Now, do you have evidence that anybody that Bragg's release did any such thing? I don't think so. And I don't think Bragg would make the mistake of releasing anybody where the right wing is going to say, you see, double kind of justice, because that's not the case. Welcome, Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. Thank you so kindly for being here. Let's see what else we call. Michael answered Patrick. They were charged with assaulting police officers. There you go. All right, Eric Hayes says, welfare programs are being defunded due to change in policy to increase the homeless population via South. Huh? That don't make any sense. All right. All right, let's continue. Let's continue. Welfare programs are being overwhelmed is asylum seekers. That's not true at all. But I know you'd like it to be true. It's just not mathematically factual at all. Appalachia has millions of people, and half of them are on welfare. That's not the number of people that are getting any sustenance as they migrate into coming into the country. All right, that's a statement of fact. All right, Paul Fleming says Texas is the largest GOP stronghold without pro school voucher legislation. Governor Abbott is on a crusade to change that. Greg Abbott has campaigned against members of his own party who do not support voucher programs. This fall, he may finally get the votes needed to pass a bill, a win for Christian conservatives who have yet to spend. Nope, 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 don't count on it yet. We believe that Democrats are going to turn over some of those politicians that he thought will win the election on vouchers. So don't count on that yet, Brother Flamin. We're still working very hard on that. In fact, we have a few people we've thrown into the Senate now that we think may make a difference, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, another day, another massacre created by right wing policies. As you all know, in Arkansas today, 9 people got shot and 2 died. And we're in Arkansas, the state that is the most decadent state when it comes to the handling of guns, the state that has the worst record in criminality with guns, the state where more people per capita get killed by guns than most other states in this country. And here we go with it. Once again, check this out.
Look, here's something too, and this is specific to Arkansas. It ranks, Jim, dead last in this country in terms of gun safety, and this is promoted, the details by Everytown for gun safety. Ready for it? It ranks 50th in the country for gun law strength. Arkansas has the weakest gun laws in the country, has one of the highest rates of gun deaths in the nation. It has none of the most important laws in place. It does not require background checks. It does not require that firearms be stored, locked, unloaded, and separate from ammunition in certain circumstances. Assault weapons are not prohibited. So is it any wonder that you see this measure of violence when gun access seems to be readily available in Arkansas?
Well, Arkansas is like many other southern and western states, Alex, in that vein. They have very loose gun laws and traditionally have had that. But what's changed is, the number of weapons on the street that are just have massive killing power. The gun laws were always lax in these southern states. And, I was a Florida uniformed officer and I policed in all these states with the ATF. And, they always had lax gun laws, but it didn't mean they had this, ongoing carnage all the time, because the gun laws actually were stricter. We had the stricter gun laws. And now we've loosened up these gun laws to the point where, every gun law is something against the Second Amendment, everybody says, but it's not really the case, but that's their arguments. And they convince more people that it's an absolute and you can't have any gun control or gun safety law that helps the public to be able to, live their lives and the pursuit of their lives and happiness, as in our founding papers. And you can't do that. You can't go to the store because you're going to get massacred,
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, it's sad. Now, we know there's 2 dead. We know there's an officer shot. And, there were early reports that it was a rifle.
Absolutely so. So, as it turns out, once again, we have a deadly incident directly attributable to those who support gun laws that are anti-human, gun laws that allow these massacres. Whenever we decide to change, just maybe this will stop. But as far as I'm concerned, the criminality for the politicians who support these policies, they should pay in hell, because these are our dead mothers or dead brothers, sisters, kids, daughters, sons. They're evil. They are the instantiation of evil because they know their policies kill. They know their policies kill. All right. Anyhow, let's continue reading. Michael Rudnin says, Lee, your religion tells you how to act, but it can't be used to command others who don't follow that religion. That should be the case, and that should always be the case. All right. Lee Grant says, the Ten Commandments are often at odds with the popular culture. The Tenth Commandment forbids coveting a neighbor's ass. Pride Month. Uh, Piedmont zest the precise opposite. Look, first of all, for you to be governed by the Ten Commandments, you have to believe in the book of the Ten Commandments. And I don't know, if you don't believe that, why should you follow it, right? You know, after all, many would say that book was used to do a whole lot of evil. I'm not saying. I'm just saying, the enslaved people were done so under the auspices of Christianity. We like to say we are a Christian nation. When was that again? Uh, does Christian nations do what we did to people? I don't know. We have to stop being hypocrites, man. We got to stop being hypocrites. 289 for gas. I'm paying 360. I paid 269 a couple days ago. So yeah, I get it my gas at Costco, and I paid that. All right. Willies, you discussed the 12-year-old girl rape because counter to politics supported. How? Wait. Egberto, will you discuss the 12-year-old girl? Nope, because it counter to politics supported here. I am lost. A 12-year-old girl in Houston was killed by two drunks that lived in an apartment complex somewhere close. Why in God's name would you tell me, Eric Hayes, that is against my politics, that a young innocent kid got killed? What would prevent me from wanting to talk about that? It's just not germane to the topics that we cover here in the aggregate. What goes on in your mind that would say that, my brother? Paul Fleming says 2 people were killed and 8 others, including a law enforcement officer, was wounded in the shooting in the supermarket in Arkansas. Yep, that's what evil policies bring you. All right, Patrick says handguns are used in the majority of mass shooting. Yeah, but in the ones that kill an inordinate amount of people, they're guns like AR-15. We talk about Las Vegas. We talk about the school here in Texas. We talk about the school in Florida. We talk about the school in Connecticut. So yes, we understand the facts that most mass gun killing, if you define mass as 3 or more, is done by handguns. But the violent killings that destroys people's bodies and that cause the most rampant damage are those AK-47s, etc. And when you talk about it's done by handguns, yeah, we probably should be limiting handguns too to those people who are committing these kinds of crimes. So I don't see how you saying, Brother Patrick, handguns are used in the majority of mass shooting. So what's your point? Your point may be then handguns are a clear and present danger to society and should probably be removed. That's the case you're making there. You're making the case to remove handguns and AR-15s. And guess what? There are other countries that have done that, and they don't suffer from the criminality. They don't suffer from the killings that we have. Yet the people who believe in life, the people who believe that the sanctity of life, they more so believe in the sanctity of the gun. So you stating that, Brother Patrick, actually makes our case. We should get rid of them altogether. But of course, that's not where your thinking is, right? Your thinking is to make a point. Your thinking is to make a point, and not realizing making that point, you're making our side. Well, what can I say? I can't go there any further. All right. Bridge MCP says, Egberto, why doesn't Eric speak of this? Robert Morris, Trump's one-time spiritual advisor, resigned as pastor of his Texas megachurch after admitting to an inappropriate relationship with a girl. You see, with a 12-year-old girl. I mean, I think we played the video several times where we pointed out that the right wings, when you see them talking about trans harming kids, when we see them talking about gays being an issue, that's not where their kids are in danger. Their kids are in more danger in their churches, because that guy who molested that 12-year-old, was a pastor of a big church. And as our friend has stated over and over again, if you want to understand where the criminality is, who abuses kids, it's not too far from the church. Because that, if you look at where the group of people that most molest kids, that are most harmful to kids, you just have to go to the church. That's where it occurs. More so than anywhere else. In fact, you will find it hard to find a gay person or a trans person molesting kids, but you'll find preachers doing it all the time. Unfortunately, the numbers don't lie. That is the truth. Now, Lee Grant says English Christians were the first to morally evolve to begin the end of slavery. Let's be clear here, brother. Just that statement, English Christians were the first to morally evolve. How the hell do you morally evolve? They were complicit. That they start to feel guilty. Wow, da-di-da, do you want a medal for doing what you should have done in the first place? I mean, that is like, look, I used to be a homophobe. I used to be a sexist. I am not anymore. Should I get a medal because I'm finally doing what's right? I don't deserve a damn thing because I am finally doing something right. I'm finally not a sexist. I'm finally not a homophobe. And when I say finally, I mean this has occurred over 30 years ago, more than 40 years ago. So I don't want to have anybody tell me a damn thing about, English Christians, they decided to morally see the light and then wanted to end slavery. They should have just end the darn thing and not try to get a pat on their backs, because what they were doing was evil, wrong, inhumane, and showed a lack of character, decency, and all that goes with it. So no pat on the back that English Christians were the first to want to end slavery. Daddy, effing da. Right? Come on, guys. All right, let's see what else we got here. Para ver. The six largest corporate landlords made nearly $300 million in increased profits last quarter, largely due to increased rents and added on fees. All six have faced lawsuits for their use of software company RealPage, which is under investigation for price fixing. Thuggery, but again, we go after the petty thief, and these guys are going to face a civil suit. All right, let's see. Bridge, it's all some willpower to ignore the outright stupidity we see up in here too often. I applaud you for your willpower too. Absolutely. Patrick says, we all know Democrats want to take all your guns. You showed your true colors. No, I said I want to save people's lives. And if saving people's lives mean taking guns from those who would kill them, you bet your life that's what I would do. And you should feel the same way, Patrick. I thought you were a pro-lifer. I thought you believe in the sanctity of life. If you believe in the sanctity of life, you would take the sanctity of life over the sanctity of the gun, right? Come on, man. Let's see. Paul Fleming says, watching Reggie Jackson spit the unfiltered truth about playing baseball in times of segregation and white supremacist violence on Fox Network was inspiring as hell. I saw that little piece today. It was great to see him come out. But sometimes you wonder why it took so long. All right. Uh, who sold black people into slavery? Black people. Hey, you're right. I don't see anything. Look, I am not going to argue that at all. Who sold white people into slavery? White people. Who sold Jews into slavery? Jews. All of those are statements of facts. But who are the ones effecting the bad on these people? The particular enslavers, right? I mean, again, your arguments are so empty. Your arguments are so empty. It shows not that you don't have another level of indirection in your thought process. And that's why we teach critical thinking. We're not trying to absolve anybody. We're just trying to say and do what's right. Unfortunately, that's not the case for all. All right. Let's see what else we have here. What specifically is Lee's great point, Eric? I love Lee, but Lee was simply wrong by thinking because the English Christians started the process of getting rid of slavery that it is somehow commendable. It's not commendable at all. They are just doing the right thing. And to put it bluntly, a lot of times slavery went out of style because it was no longer efficient. The cotton gin, one of the reasons that you didn't need as much hands on the slave field. I can give you a lot of reasons why slavery is less efficient now. Having employees is a lot more efficient than slavery. How again? Well, because you guys that are employed, all of us that are employed, don't get it, right? The slave was property. It was a property to generate income. That property had to be fed. That property had to be clothed. That property had to be insured. That property had a permanent expense on massa. The massa had to invest a lot in that property, the slave. You know where capitalism evolved? Capitalism evolved into saying, wait a minute, we can create a new kind of slavery. And that new kind of slavery is called antiseptic slavery, also known as the employee. That's why we need unions to convert the employee from antiseptic slavery into stakeholder, right? Employer, investor, employee, stakeholders. Capitalism is simply an enslaving machine that looks more antiseptic. Think about this. You do a lot of work for a company. That company makes $100 million in profit. You don't get any. And who made that profit? You did, employee. But only the shareholders and the new kind of master hold on to that. And we are so indoctrinated into this process, we don't see it. Again, slave, employee. Slave had to be cared for. Slave had to remain healthy because that was property. The capitalists care more about property than anything else. All you employees that are there defending the capitalists, you are defending people who care nothing about you. Absolutely nothing about you. You are just a cog in the game. Now, when we talk about unions, employees, a union makes an employee a stakeholder. A stakeholder means they got to negotiate with you. And until we learn and accept these things, until we free our minds, until we remove the chains from our minds, we will continue to buy into this junk that we believe right now. It's so important that you get it. Egberto, talking about the commonality of wage slavery, the difference between productivity and wages is the capitalist profit. Exactly. It's called excess labor. That's the official economic term, excess labor. The capitalists will pay their employees and earn so much more than their employees' work that than what the employee earned. There's no profit sharing. There's no beneficial structure for employees. E2247 said, "Oh, Egberto is on a truth rant. Yay. Plus, stick in the credit lines those employees got rammed down their throats." And it didn't start now. In the past, in these coal towns, those guys that are in the tunnels risking their lives to pick up this coal, they had these company towns, right? And these company towns had these things called commissaries. So they didn't pay you with American dollars many a times. They paid you with corporate dollars, right? Corporate money that you couldn't spend in a 7-Eleven. You couldn't spend in a Walmart. You had to spend in the company store. So you had these companies that were paying you with their money that you can then use in the company store to buy your goods to survive. So your money went right back to the company. Look, guys, and the reason we call it antiseptic slavery, right, is that you're fooled into believing things are so much better. But as Dr. Economist Richard Wolff would tell you, they pulled one over you. They used credit instead of increased wages to do it, and they use a lot of other techniques. And until we wise up, it will continue to happen. And brother Radnin has a good chart here that shows how we've been abused. And the only thing with these types of charts, right, is you have to learn how to read them. And learning how to read them is important. And I'm sorry that it's today is one of the days that the screen is kind of jumpy. But here's the deal. After the Great Recession, from 80 to now, look at how productivity went through the roof. 80% between then and now. 8% is the change in hourly wages. In average hourly wages, 7%. That is what your work has meant to the people who control you. And the thing about it is, so many of you are going to give us a hard time when we tell these truths. So many of you don't want to hear these truths because you're so indoctrinated into the system that you can't fathom that you're a slave in this system. You can't fathom that these guys that you revere cares nothing about you. You can't fathom that this person here that you like to consider, oh, you socialist, or oh, you whatever the negative names you use against yours truly and others that that preaches the proper ideology. You can't believe that we are the ones that hold your interests at hand. So you continue to support the evil, even as it harms you. You continue to support the evil, even as it harms your family, your well-being, as opposed to working together towards a system that benefits us all. You can't see it. You're prejudiced. You can't believe your alliance is really with people like me. Your foresight. You can't believe that ultimately that which will work doesn't involve the folks who look like Trump, who is taking you to the cleaners. It's amazing. All right, Carl Cox says, have to leave. Take care, everyone. Carl Cox, you take care, my brother. Maywood says, we have slavery right here in the USA. Maybe we should address our own issues first. Yeah. Paul Fleming says, 25 corporations pretending to honor Pride Month have donated $18 million to anti-LGBTQ policies since November 2022. Ignore the marketing and follow the money. There you go, brother. You're exactly right. All right. One other thing. You know how you know reality in this country as well? Who the oligarchy is supporting. Well, the oligarchy made its choice. The oligarchy says evil wins. We need evil to survive. The only way we are going to continue to be allowed to pilfer the American people is to support the most evil president America has ever seen, Donald Trump. Check this out.
New fundraising numbers reveal that the Trump campaign and the Republican National Committee pulled ahead of President Biden on fundraising in the past quarter, fueled by a surge of contributions to Trump after his verdict in the hush money case, including a record-breaking $50 million contribution from a mega donor, Timothy Mellon. Trump and the RNC raised $141 million in May, beating President Biden and Democrats. The Democrats had 85 million. 141 to 85 is the number, although the Biden team has more cash on hand right now. And former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg gave nearly $20 million to the Biden campaign. Joining me now is NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray and Reuters White House correspondent Jeff Mason. So, Mark, walk us through the money race. You went through the numbers. So late night for our teams, Ben Camisar and all the bright people in our political unit. Adding it all up.
Yeah, Ben Camisar and Bridget Bowman spent a lot going through the reports because we got them very late last night. And what they ended up showing is that, yes, Donald Trump and the Republican National Committee have caught up to Democrats. And we ended up seeing a situation where when you are the incumbent sitting president like President Biden is right now, you have two big advantages, the money advantage, and then you end up having the advantage when it comes to time. And what we're seeing right now when it comes to money, that Joe Biden and Donald Trump, that it is almost becoming even, that right now that Trump just in the earlier month raised $9 million. Now that went up to $75 million, fueled primarily through a lot of those donations they got at the end of May, right after that conviction. So it's even Steven money race right now. We'll see what happens in the next 5 months.
And talk to me about the impact of the money and the disparity, because right now it's a huge amount. Timothy Mellon, my God, $50 million. That's a record.
Lots of money. I mean, one thing that this shift shows is that is a little bit of a dynamic and momentum shift. Having money has been advantage Biden up until the last month or two. So that's definitely a shift. In terms of where all that money is going to go, one thing Trump has to spend his money on are legal fees. And that may be one of the reasons why Biden has a little bit more money in terms of cash on hand. Both of them are looking to build up their ground game or their get out the vote efforts. And Trump is looking to outside groups to help bolster that. The Biden campaign has been very proud of the fact that they've got 1,000 people hired and staff and offices all over the country already. But they need money to do that, and they need it to make it happen. And that's why looking at these totals, even at this point in the race, is still really critical.
Absolutely so. Look, so as you can see, yep, the money has started rolling. And there's one, I don't remember the name of the billionaire, gave him $50 million. One donor, $50 million. So, folks, evil knows no bound. But I tell you one thing, it's still one person, one vote. One person, one vote. So what we have to do is disregard those whose minds are still enchained by the plutocracy, those whose mind continue to allow their personal prejudices to support a racist, homophobic, xenophobe, misogynist like Donald Trump, and a thief, of course, and a convicted felon. We got to disregard those folks. Love them, still love them, but disregard them. Love them, but disregard them, and do what is right. Elect the right people into office. And then we can get rid of all these things. The billionaire must cease to exist. Nobody has earned, not one person in this world has earned $1 billion. They have stolen, whether legal or not, but no person has earned $1 billion. We have an economic system that allows some to rip off others, that gives them the aforementioned amount. But do remember, folks, nobody has earned it. Bridge MCP says there should be a fund so each person running gets the same amount of money. I agree wholeheartedly. I agree wholeheartedly. E2247 says oligarchs fund Bill, Hillary, Barack, Joe, or did you forget all that dough bundled by Ram? Oh, I don't forget it at all. And they got paid well. The Obamacare would have been a lot different if we, the progressives, had the ultimate say. They gave us a few crumbs, but the people who walked off with a lot were the insurance companies. I mean, it's better for everybody, right? But still, you see what things cost. So, anyway, let me tell you, folks, we're going to be shutting this baby down. I want to tell you, I'm going to have a very busy weekend. I have one of our Panamanian groups are meeting later on to discuss a parade that we are having for Veterans Day. Panamanians have served this country well. Panamanians have died in Korea. Panamanians have died in Vietnam. Panamanians have died in Iraq. And my brother here in town, Roberto Luis, he founded Pantex, an organization that's going to try to show the cultural awareness of Latin Americans' influence in America and the great things that Latin Americans, meaning people from Panama, Honduras, Guatemala, Nicaragua, and the Caribbean, have done for this country in serving in the military. So we're preparing we're preparing to be in the parade for Veterans Day, and we are also hoping to bring a marching band from Panama to march here in Houston. So we're working on that. So we're going to be doing some planning on that this week to kind of bring some unity. All those people that are fearing immigrants as if immigrants take, and take. We are going to show what we've done in this country, specifically Panamanians, but also folks from all over Latin America and the Caribbean. Now, likewise, it's important for us to know that. And by the way, I'm going to on Sunday. We have a humongous Democratic meeting that I've got to attend as well. So it's going to be a very, very busy weekend. Now, I want to ask all of you that are watching that have the wherewithal to support our program however you can. And how can you do that? It's very easy to do that. But what I'm going to do today is concentrate on two things only. I'm going to ask you to do both if you're all possible. Welcome aboard, Texas Blue Bonnet. And thank you for being here. Texas Blue Bonnet says Charles Koch or Crow in Austin gave him $50 million. I doubt that Musk gave him big bucks. And Billy Allison Irwin says, not the worst idea I've heard. Better than a billionaire running up everything. Anyway, I want to ask you guys to do two things. One, consider buying the hard copy of our books. That helps us as well. And it's also something you can promote, learn the things that we talk about all of the times. You can get that at politicsdoneright.com/books. Politicsdoneright.com/books. Please support us that way. We have a whole lot of political books that's easy to read, talk to you to the heart. Please consider getting those. As well, we need over 1,000 subscribers to our newsletter. We are at 113 or so right now. Please consider becoming a paid subscriber. We have over 10,000 followers, over 8,000 subscribers, but only 113 paid subscribers. And we understand, but many of you can do a coffee a month. Please consider saying, you know what? I like what he's doing. I like all the places where we get this information out there. To populate the internet, to make sure that our message gets out there, it is worth a coffee a month. I want to do that. You can go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter and please become a paid subscriber of our newsletter. A paid subscriber of our newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. I love you all. Love what that you're here to support me, whether you're left wing or right wing. But if you're right wing, keep coming because some of what I'm saying here eventually will take root and grow, especially when some one of your experiences with your kids, your mother, your daughter, your brother, your sister, your aunt. Some of you need that catalyst to occur for you to open your mind to allow what we seed here to germinate. So stay around. I love you all. Even my right wing brothers and sisters, man. Stick around. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.